Today I'm going to talk to you about something so obscure that it doesn't even have a page on the Lost Media wiki at time of writing. This is the story of Silent Hill that no one has seen since 2002. So, as you may know, since I've talked about it a bit on the channel, I quite like Silent Hill. I also quite like Lost Media, so naturally when I was bored one day I decided to look up Silent Hill Lost Media. And after a while, I discovered something quite interesting. Silent Hill as a visual novel? Okay, so published in 2001, play novel Silent Hill is a visual novel retelling of the first Silent Hill game. The title sort of sounds like one of those games for those consoles specifically aimed at like really young kids to get them to read and stuff, because hey look, it's a video game, and then you deceive them into learning to count to 10. The game itself is already quite obscure, and for good reason. It was a visual novel on the GBA, only released in Japan in 2001. Most playthroughs on YouTube only sport a couple thousand views, except for one video by the Game Grumps where they play it in Japanese and mainly just use it as a base for some crazy improv.
And are scared.
This is a picture of me rocking out. and here's a picture of one of our backup dancers in the spotlight.
I hit her with my car momentarily after. Shit, don't tell anybody though. I don't know why I'm sharing it with you in game form.
So, I don't know if that really counts. Getting even more obscure, this GBA game had DLC. Basically, you'd get your Game Boy Advance, get your Game Boy Advance mobile adapter, which was only available in Japan, and download the scenario. 4 chapters were made, spring, summer, fall and winter, each being released 3 months apart to celebrate that season. It's hard to tell exactly how long these are, but I'd estimate around 15 to 30 minutes, but I could be grossly overestimating. It's not like I've played this. So, this DLC scenario, what was it actually about? It was about a boy named Andy, who was a next door neighbour to the Mason family and actually had a crush on Cheryl, which is the little girl that you spend Silent Hill 1's main campaign trying to find. Andy is trying to work up the nerve to talk to Cheryl. He's just been staring at her from his window at this point, when he realises that she and her father are going on a trip, like any something-year-old would do in the name of love for a girl he's never even spoken to. He sneaks onto the car. After a while, he hears a big bump, and what do you know, it's Silent Hill. So, I know what you're thinking. Surely people downloaded all the scenarios, just get a copy of the files off an old GBA and boom, found. But the GBA mobile service had a small issue. As soon as the GBA was turned off, all the files were gone. All that remained was a little card for beating the scenario, which was stored on the cartridge, and these have all been found as a result. They are called First Sight, Escape, Love, and Incubus. These little tiny cards are all we have in terms of plot points for anything other than the spring episode. All of the other chapters are still completely missing, and except for a Japanese magazine that made a walkthrough on the first chapter, we have nothing on this, like, at all. We have no idea of the plot for anything other than spring. But I have so many questions. Will Andy ever become friends with Cheryl? Who pushed Andy in the sewer, as he appears briefly in the main campaign? I guess we'll never know. There's a few things to point out though. A website link where you can download all of the chapters for free actually exists. Although the site went down in the early 2000s and no backups from this time exist. I'll leave the link in the description, but this is probably a dead end. I can't find any evidence that these later chapters actually came out. I can't find anything saying that they didn't, but would anyone go on a rant on a 2001 forum that they couldn't download the latest chapter of the Silent Hill visual novel. The GB Mobile adapter was pretty unsuccessful, so it's extremely possible that Konami just didn't finish the later chapters. And this is the saddest point right here. It's very likely that even Konami doesn't have a playable version. They didn't have the source code for Silent Hill 2 and 3? Do you really think they kept Andy? And I'm afraid that's basically all I can find on this. There are a few tiny details, like the exact dates the chapters supposedly came out, and how you do briefly meet Andy in the main scenario, but that's about it. I doubt this will ever really be found, but if anyone played it back in the day and actually remembers it, please tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear what actually happens. And that's how this video was going to end, but as I was looking through the old forums one last time before recording this, I gathered some information that I somehow missed. I read that the way the scenarios were downloaded onto the cartridge was that they were downloaded as a save file, which means not completely impossible to get. It's just a matter of finding a cartridge which has the scenarios downloaded and extract the .sav file. A user claiming on the Lost Media forums that the files were downloaded onto the cartridge, and it's only a matter of finding an old cartridge with the files downloaded onto it. Now, it's worth noting this could be wrong, and even if it's true, it's a bit of a long shot, but if you own a copy, maybe it's worth taking a look at the old SAV files. Never know, might uncover a lost memory. Thanks for watching. Check out my other videos. Feel free to subscribe. Bye.